Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. I am Wonder. This video is another VR. This one is to Coyote Tarot and it is her reintroduction questions, and she has them all separated in such like a pretty concise way. I listened to hers and I loved it and I decided to do a VR on it. Because I am very comfy cozy today. As you can see, I am very cold in my house right now, which is very weird to say because usually I like my house to be cold, but my partner likes it to be a little bit colder. So I'm bundled up today, but that's okay. So let's just jump right into it. So I decided to also do this VR because I have gotten quite a few new followers here lately. And I realized that it's been a few years since I even attempted to do like a reintroduction type of video. So let's do it. Okay. So I got my little notebook here. The basics. Where are you from? So I am from the northern part of Kentucky. I am pretty close to Louisville. I have been here since I was about 11 years old, maybe closer to 12. Before that, I lived in northern Indiana, close to the Indiana-Michigan border. That border, you know, was only like an hour or so away from us. But yeah, Kentucky. Here we are. How did you come up with your YouTube name? So I have gone through a few YouTube names before I settled on this one. I'm pretty sure when I very first started, or am I thinking about Tumblr? No, YouTube, I was Wonder of Nature, and then I am just wonderxviii. So the name Wonder came about because back in about 2016, Bestie had the idea to start a witchy Discord server. She called it Witch Haven. And as that gained popularity and as more people came on, the way that we would like know each other was from our Tumblr handles. And mine at the time was Wonder of Nature, so they just started calling me Wonder, and I have kept that moniker, I have kept that nickname since then. It's been a minute. Yeah, my goodness, I'm thinking about when I first started Tumblr, I was Roosters and Sunflowers for my mom, and then Wonder of Nature, and now I'm just Wonder 18 in Roman numerals. If you know, you know, it's for the moon card. How long have you been reading tarot? So I have been reading tarot since I was about 12 years old, 12 or 13. My sister had gotten a tarot deck at the time. She would play with it. I was immediately fascinated. She lost interest pretty quickly in it and she gave it to me. And I have had that deck ever since. How did you get, so I've been reading tarot since I was about 13. And then I'm going to skip ahead to another question. Do you read for others? I do. I have been reading for others as a professional tarot reader since I was about 24-ish. So for about 13 years now, reading like professionally. But I still, you know, just read whenever I can because I love it so much. How did you get into reading tarot or oracle? So it was just a natural progression from me being so fascinated with the cards when I was 13. I didn't really start acquiring any other decks. I only had that one until I went to college. And in college, I wasn't shy about, you know, just whipping the deck out and shuffling and looking at the cards wherever I was at. And it just progressed into me, you know, like wanting to read for other people and it becoming a very big part of my spirituality. Yeah. I think that was a weird way to answer that question, but that's where we went. Decks. Do you use Oracle with Tarot? If you would have asked, if I would have been answering this question a few years ago, I would have said no, because I liked to keep them separate, but Tarot and Oracle is an ever evolving, ever educational journey, and I have recently started to really like the idea of really putting them together. Now, I've never not used them together. I would sometimes pull an Oracle card to get like an overall feeling of the reading after I was done, just, you know, for the client, just to get, you know, some like extra clarification or what have you. But to really like pair them together, I had not done that until here recently, and I am really enjoying the experience. How many decks do you have? I have about, I think at last count, because I keep a Google Doc and I keep a list of all the decks that I have. Number one, because when I'm out, I generally will remember all the decks that I have, but I just like to keep a list with me just in case, so I don't double buy. Because I do that with books and it's really annoying. Really annoying. So I have about 92, 93 decks between Tarot and Oracle. Where do you store your decks? I store my decks. They're directly behind y'all. On the majority of them are on this shelf back here. I keep some on my desk that I am actively working with. I keep some in my bag, like a deck or two in my bag that I take with me every day. I have one in my car, but the majority of them are stored on the shelf behind you. What do you look for in a deck? I can be pretty particular about my decks. I don't really have, I say I can be particular, but I won't like not buy a deck because something like, I'm very vocal about the fact that I don't like borders, but borders, if I like the artwork enough, borders aren't going to cause me to not buy the deck. You know what I mean? But what I don't like is I don't really care for photo manipulation. I don't really care for the like collage style. I do have a deck that's like collage style that I do enjoy, but that is like a rare unicorn. I don't like the photo manipulation collage, like pictures of real people and then like colored artwork. Like that's just not the vibe that I like to work with. I like pastels, I like watercolors, sometimes I like minimalist, where there's not a lot in there, it's very straight and to the point. I have been branching out here lately to where I have been letting it be a little more chaotic, if that makes sense. How would you describe your deck collection? I'm looking at it, you know, now. It's pretty eclectic. I have the Tarot Sutra. I have like kid artwork decks. I have zombie decks. I have, you know, bone decks. I have like, it's very eclectic. I do have a lot of like mass market decks just because that was what was more so readily available to me when I first started, you know, like acquiring decks. But I do have a few indie decks. I do have a few decks that you can only find on Etsy. I did purchased just a couple here recently, and they came in the mail, so I'm thinking about doing some unboxings of those. Yeah, but pretty eclectic. Do you have a go-to tarot and oracle deck? So I don't have a go-to oracle deck, but I do have technically a go-to tarot decks. Now, I put the quotes because I don't really have like a deck that I'm naturally drawn to. I go with my intuition. So if I feel drawn to a deck that day, that's what I go for. If I'm reading for a client and I feel, so when I read for a client, I let them pick the deck. I will give options. I will use, if I'm reading in person, I will usually take 3 or 4 decks with me and let them choose. So I don't really have a go-to deck, but if I had to go to my shelf and pick like 2 decks that I could not live without, it would be these 2. It would be number 1, my OG deck I got when I was 12 years old. It's the back. And it is the Medieval Scapini. Oh, look at those little, yeah. I love this deck so much. It's a deck I learned to read with. I've had it since I was 12 years old. I'm now 37, so I have had it for about 25 years. Is that right? 12, 22, 22 to 32, and then 33, the 4th, 5th, 6th. Yeah, about 25 years. But I love it. And then my other one is the Morgan Greer. Very 70s, no borders, very colorful. Look at that jawline, jeez. Love this deck. So these are the 2 decks that if I had to grab some decks that, and the rest of them would like go away, it would be these. Do you rehome decks? If so, what determines if it leaves your collection? I haven't rehomed a lot of decks. The ones I have, and there's only been like 1 or 2, it's because I just could not connect to the deck itself. Whenever I would pick it up, I couldn't get anything from it. And so I knew that deck was not for me. And so how I have rehomed decks in the past is I kept them until the person who I thought would appreciate it and would use it and would benefit from it came into my life, and then I would give it to them. Okay. Turn the page. Your practice. What does your tarot practice look like? So tarot isn't just a practice with me. As you all know, tarot is a big part of my spirituality, and it's a big part of my spiritual practice. So I do spells and rituals with tarot cards. I will just look at cards and feel connected to spirit. Just shuffling a deck of cards really brings me comfort, and it calms me. It like really like centers me. So I don't really, tarot is in like everything I do. Like I pull a card for every single day. I do spreads for full moons and new moons, and I pull spreads for every day, or I pull cards for everyday situations. I always have a deck on me. It is just, it's everything. So it's involved in like every aspect of my life. What does a typical tarot reading look like with or for you? So if you are getting a reading from me, I do prefer in-person readings. So if we were having an in-person reading, my table is usually set up with a cloth. It's usually that one right there. Or just, the table itself. I will have my working candle. I will have my either an incense or de Palo Santo. I will have some crystals, usually some herbs that are scattered about. And then I will have 3 to 4 decks. And when you sit down, I will just have a conversation with you, and just to not just immediately jump into it, because I feel like that's very awkward. So we'll have a conversation. I will tell you I have these decks, and tell me the one that you feel drawn to the most. And so they will look at each deck and they will tell me which one they want a reading with me from. I do not typically do pre-thought out spreads. I go 100% intuitively. If I feel called to only draw one card, which that rarely happens. If I feel called to draw 5, if I feel called to draw 10, it just depends on how I feel in that moment. The question that clients ask, I tell them that they can either tell me their question or they don't have to if they don't want to. If it makes them feel more comfortable, they don't have to express it out loud. They can just think it while they shuffle the cards, or they can just keep it in their mind as I am laying the cards out. And then I go over the cards and I talk about the connections, and I will typically ask you questions if I am a little fuzzy on something, or if something really sticks out to me. And then after, if the client has chosen to not tell me their question beforehand, afterwards I will just ask and say, did any of this resonate with you? If anything didn't, what was it? And why didn't it resonate? And then we have a conversation about it. Not to toot my own horn, but usually if a client has not told me their question afterwards, they are very shocked and surprised that I was so spot on with what they were wanting guidance on. That's why I love tarot. That's why sometimes I prefer that people don't tell me the question, just so I can see if I can hone in and really get to the gritty parts of what they were wanting to talk about. And then it's a back and forth. It's a conversation. It's an exchange of energy. It's an exchange of vibes. Like, I love the in-person readings. I love having those conversations. I love having people just ask me about tarot. I can talk about tarot all day, every day with anybody. I love it so much. And I love having conversations because I learn something new all the time. But that in a nutshell is what a reading with me looks like. YouTube Tarot Tube. What kind of content is your fave to post and or watch? My fave to watch, so I have this weird, it's not weird, but one of my comfort YouTube videos to watch is Irish people trying food and drinks and things like that on the Try channel. I don't know why. I find so much comfort in it. I love it so much. It's so funny. But I also love to watch ex-Mormon, ex-evangelical, ex-Jehovah's Witness, just people who have deconstructed from an organized religion. I love watching their videos because I am genuinely fascinated with other religions, and I am genuinely curious about how other religions structure themselves and how they portray themselves to the outside, and then how they actually are. to the folks who are in the middle of it. I love that stuff. And then of course I love to watch my fellow witchy tarot folks. Kellyanne Maddox, I love watching her videos. Coyote Tarot, she's one of my newer ones that I really liked. Avalon Cameron, I love watching hers. Because Kellyanne Maddox is over in the UK and Avalon Cameron is in Australia. So I do like watching content with people who, are from other countries, and I love getting opinions from people in other countries about our political climate here and what they think and what they've been shown on their news. I have a very broad viewing, but what I like to post, of course, is tarot decks, unboxings. I love to talk about it. I love to talk about anything witchy. Here recently, I have started my herbalism series where I talk about different herbs and essential oils. I just recently did a video on lavender that I really enjoyed doing. It was very condensed because I didn't want to go too in depth and get to the nitty gritty, because then it gets very not boring, but it would be a long video. But yeah, my witchy spiritual practice, I love posting about that. I am hoping to do more videos on rituals and things that I do. That's what I really like. How did you get into creating a YouTube channel? I started my YouTube channel in, I think it was 2015. So about 2015 or 2014. I can't remember. I started it because I wanted to have somewhere to just talk about what I was interested in, to have somewhere to express my opinions, to tell my story. I didn't expect to have, a lot of followers. And it's never, my YouTube channel has never been a place for me to become this, or to have this huge following. If that happens, that's great. But I just really wanted to accumulate and get other folks who want to hear what I'm talking about. So I started my channel so I could do that, but it was an outlet. I was in a very bad relationship / and eventually marriage. It was bad. So I was in a very bad place. So this was also an outlet for me. Knowing what you know now about YouTube TarotTube, is there anything you would do differently? I don't think so. Over the past 10 or so years of me having a YouTube channel and really actively being on YouTube, I've seen many people who I followed and who were witches and who were very active in the community. They turned away from witchcraft and became Christian again. I've seen that happen quite a few times. So that's always sad to see, but I wouldn't do anything differently. I am who I am. I say what I say. And if you all ever see me do that stuff, you know that something's wrong and something has happened, because I've never felt more myself or more just in touch with everything around me than being a witch and having my spiritual practice and doing the things that I do. But and I talk about the people going back to Christianity because I feel when very large creators like that do, sometimes smaller ones want to try to step up and like fill that void. And that is not something that I ever felt like was needed. People are going to come and go. People are going to change and people are going to evolve, and if they continue on their path and just continue to learn, like that's great. And if they don't and that's what they want to do, like that's great for them too. But I wouldn't do anything differently. I have loved my journey on here. I really feel like I am in my, how do I say this? I think I'm really on my path. You know, I have a partner now who we've been dating just over 9 months now. We've been living together for about 5, I think. He is wonderful. I've never been seen as I am with him. And so I feel just very comfortable in my skin. I feel very comfortable where I am in my life in general. And I can't wait to share more with you guys. So that was my VR to Coyote Tarot reintroduction. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you stick around. And I hope you enjoyed the content that I put out, because I enjoy making it and I enjoy talking about it. So with that being said, thank you all for stopping by and watching this video and hearing all about me. I hope you have a great day, week, month, year. I wish you nothing but blessings and growth, and I will see you next time. Bye.